Good afternoon. My name is Mike O'Meara. I'm the president of the New York State Association of PBAs. And I just want to talk to you, the press, and I want to talk to the police officers. 375 million interactions with the public every year. 375 million interactions. Overwhelmingly positive responses. Overwhelmingly positive responses. But I read in the papers all week, we all read in the papers, that in the black community, mothers are worried about their children getting home from school without being killed by a cop. What world are we living in? That doesn't happen. It does not happen. I am not Derek Chauvin. They are not him. He killed someone. We didn't. We are restrained. And you know what? I'm saying this to all the cops here. Because you know what? Everybody's trying to shame us. The legislators, the press, everybody's trying to shame us into being embarrassed about our profession. Well, you know what? This isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got a shine on it. And so do theirs. So do theirs. Stop treating us like animals and thugs and start treating us with some respect. That's what we're here today to say. We've been left out of the conversation. We've been vilified. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Trying to make us embarrassed of our profession. 375 million interactions. Overwhelmingly positive. Nobody talks about all the police officers that were killed in the last week in the United States of America, and there were a number of them. We don't condone Minneapolis. We roundly reject what he did as disgusting. It's disgusting. It's not what we do. It's not what police officers do. Our legislators abandoned us. The press is vilifying us. Well, you know what, guys? I'm proud to be a cop. And I'm going to continue to be proud to be a cop until the day I retire. And that's all I have to say.
As professionals are under assault, where the signs on the street are dictating the legislation that happens, but it's worse than that. We here in the city are doing this in the backdrop of a night where we had 7 shootings in 4 minutes, 8 shootings in 5 hours, in different parts of Brooklyn, not connected. Last week, 40 shootings, the highest since 2015. Homicides went from 5 to 13. Burglaries have quadrupled. You may ask why. Why now? How is this happening? How is this happening when we have so many professional, caring law enforcement officers out there on the street? And the answer is simple. There's been a message not only from our City Hall, but from the State House that says there will be a soft touch. And the criminals know it. And while folks were protesting, they were breaking down doors, climbing in windows, pulling out their weapons they're not afraid to carry. The hatred towards law enforcement is misguided. I have 36 years as a New York City police officer. And I can tell you this unequivocally. Not one woman or man that has a shield on their chest, a patch on their shoulder, regardless of what arm of law enforcement they come from, will support or defend a murder of an innocent person. And that's what happened. Let us be unequivocal. In all my time, I've never seen a time when not one law enforcement would support. 8 minutes is wrong. There was no struggle. There was no reason. So I know I speak on behalf of every police officer here. It was wrong. We denounce it, and we have from the beginning. We've had in this city violence on our streets, hiding amongst protesters. Folks that believe, that go out on the streets and bring their signs. We don't criticize them, we police them. We're protesters. I've protested. We've protested. We believe in it, we believe their rights, but now we're being guided by those that were intent on violence from outside our communities, that threw the stone, that broke the window, that caused the violence, that injured 300 police officers, some viciously. That's who we denounce. And then, for our legislators, and I emphasize our legislators, to then demonize police officers as if we're the problem, as if we broke the window, as if we caused the violence. That is absolutely outrageous. We as police officers are citizens of this city, these counties, and our state. Our families live with us too. What we're seeing now in a rush to pass packages of bills in the dark of night without even reading them. Ask our legislators, have you read the bill? We've heard it before. They'll say they're busy. They'll say they don't have time. The bill is hundreds of pages. Well, it's your job to read it and know what it says. So the reason I say that is, why aren't you speaking to all the stakeholders? You know, that's their word. The stakeholders. The stakeholders. Our families, you know, the community, the stakeholders. Why aren't you asking the question of professional law enforcement? Why aren't you seeking our advice? Is it that maybe we'd be reasonable? Maybe we can see where the problems would be? Maybe because we're standing on that street corner with our fellow citizens, we know that they don't want this violence visiting their corners, but we've seen it. Didn't we just visit this problem with our legislature recently? Didn't they rush through bail reform? Didn't they have to admit they made a mistake? Why did it happen? It happened because they rushed it in the dark of night without speaking to, you know, the stakeholders. The stakeholders. They talk about transparency. Me too. We want to be transparent. You can only have transparency if you're being honest, having the discussion, having the dialogue. Defund the police department. Ask different folks. What's the definition? Get rid of the police? Defund the police? Shift the money around? It's a slogan. It's a slogan during a protest. I admire it because it's open to so many definitions. We went out on the streets to do a job. We went out in the street during this violence. We went out in the street because we knew we had to. City Hall asked us and ordered us to, and the brass put us out there. But then what we found out, there was no plan. There wasn't enough of us. We weren't up planning on stopping the violence. The violence visited us. We have district attorneys from all our counties, from many of our state, saying we will not prosecute criminals who looted, not protested, who looted, who rioted. Our DAs won't prosecute them. But you know what's on the hearts and minds of everybody that has a shield in their hip pocket today? That who the DA did prosecute was a police officer whose boss sent him out there to do a job, was put in a bad situation during a chaotic time. And you know what? My gray hair told me it was going to happen. Everybody walked away from them. There was no longer a boss standing next to him like it was that night. The brass threw them under a bus, not saying it's our fault, we didn't have a plan, we asked them to go out there. The DAs to say, we don't have time to prosecute criminals, but we'll prosecute you. Talk about de-escalation. They're de-escalating their job. They're refusing to do their job. They're asking us to pull back. They're asking us to pull back. They're asking us to walk away from you. They're asking us to abandon our communities. They're asking me to walk away from where I live. They're asking me to walk away from where I work. They're asking us to walk away from the neighborhoods that we brought back. And that's what's happening. And you know what? We don't have a choice. If we put our hands on the criminal, you're going to jail. I'm not being dramatic. That's how bad it is. No one's read the bills. They're following the crowd. What's the joke? I'm the leader. Where's my people? Let me catch up with them. They're legislating by signs in a protest. We have our leadership who think they'll appease the criminals, who think they'll appease the rioters. They think they'll appease our critics. You know what my job as a New York City police officer is? When I put that shield on my chest, I put that patch on my shoulder, my job at that protest is to stand on my own 2 feet. My job and your job is to make sure we protect your right to say what you believe as loud as you want, wherever you want. And we'll stand that line. We'll stand that line and protect that right. But when I'm standing that barrier line, what I don't have is a personal opinion. My job is to protect yours. So when we see our leaders tactically putting themselves on the ground, when we see our leaders joining the other side of the barrier, whether we personally agree or not, you're derelict in your duty. You stand the line. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're angry, but it makes no difference because we stand the line. We stand the line on our feet, with our shoulders back, with our shield out, saying, I'm here to make sure you're good. Now, if I want to go across that line, if I'm the brass of this job that wants to jump over the line and go on the ground, then throw in a 28. Take your time. Go home, change, and come back and do it on your own time. Don't do it on the time of the citizens. Don't do it on my time. Don't do it on the backs of our members. And then when it goes wrong, and a DA says we're going to lock you up, you should be standing next to them saying, I'm the leader. I sent them out. I should take the hit. I should get locked up. But don't hold your breath. We're not going to see that because they've walked away.